Okay, love or hate David Pratt. The guy's an institution for sport in Vancouver. Bombastic, opinionated, and sometimes just downright rude. Well, today, we're going to turn the tables. You see, I get to interview him live on his show between 7 and 9 on CKNW.
Whole question is, what is scarier on a night like tonight? Dracula, Frankenstein, a werewolf in London, Zombieland, a bat out of hell, or Gary Batman. So far, 70.3% of you going with Gary Batman. You can email us at pratt@cknw.com, or you can tweet me at David Pratt at NW980. As we're joined right now in studio with Ian Walker from Walkerbigtalkertv. Ian, welcome to the show. And let me explain here to our audience what we're going to do.
Please do.
We're going to do a reverse interview. We've got a camera crew in here, and you're going to interview me as opposed to the other way around.
I figured it's about time, isn't it?
All of a sudden, I'm starting to twitch. I've got something scarier than Gary Batman.
The tables have turned.
So what do you want to know?
Well, I guess first off, you and I have never really met
No.
or even spoke before tonight.
No.
Why did you agree to do this?
Because I think it's good radio, and I think it's good TV. Yeah, no, I think the idea of doing stuff like this really, really works. This is the kind of stuff that I've always looked forward to doing. Especially the minute you get off, the standard stuff, all of a sudden you've got your audience leaning into your radio and going, okay, I have no idea what's coming, and you know what? Neither do I.
When's the last time you spoke with Jennifer Mather?
It would be probably 10 years ago, and it was maybe at a football game or something or other, and just sort of kind of high as she walked by with Brian. I don't think she's ever going to forgive me, although I don't get it. We didn't put her up to that. I mean, she was working here at CKNW at the time when I was working across the street, and all I said on the air at the time was that I said that if Brian Burke went down to Anaheim and pulled off the same dog and pony show that he pulled here for 6 years with the media, treating us like absolute dogs, that the media in Southern California would just absolutely piss all over him, and he wouldn't last 2 years. That's what I said. And she phoned up and she lit in, and you know what the thing was? Our program director at the time, Robbie Gray, said to me, he said, look, Dave, let her go. Don't go head to head, let her go. And he was so right. So when we got her, I said, hi, Jennifer, how's it going, eh? And she just took off. I mean, I didn't have to do anything except just shut up. She did all the work. She made it all happen. That still is the defining moment, not only of that particular show, Pratt and Taylor, but also the defining moment of that radio station. I mean, if you talk to anybody, I mean, it's interesting, that's the first question you bring up, because you know what?
Yep.
It was real.
Were you picked on in school?
Me?
Yeah.
Nah. No.
Who did you sit with in the cafeteria?
Oh, you know what the thing was? I grew up playing all sorts of sports. I had lots of buddies. I played football, I played baseball, I played all those kind of things. So I had a bunch of jock buddies that I used to hang out with. And yeah, I grew up in high school in Langley, which was back then it was a lot of farmland and stuff like that. And it was a great place to grow up, because it was before they got into all the massive housing units and all. I mean, when I go back to Langley now, I don't even I get lost in Langley right now. But I had a great childhood. I had great parents, and I had a ton of fun in high school. Where
I first was introduced to you was Last Call.
Okay, yeah.
And I was in the Maritimes, and I always liked that show. And I still wonder what happened to it, and is there a chance for something like that to happen again in this day?
What happened to Last Call was simply this: geography. It was in Vancouver, and this country is Toronto-centric. Our numbers with Off the Record, which is an interesting story, because Off the Record was my idea. I went to TSN, and I wanted
This is Landsberg's show.
Yeah. I went to TSN in Toronto. This is in the mid-90s. And I was a huge fan of Bill Maher, still am. And he had a show on ABC called Politically Incorrect. And I loved it. I thought, man, this is great. Why don't we do a sports version of Politically Incorrect? We were just about to open up our studios here in Vancouver, and I went back to Toronto, took the meetings, and said, here is my plan. And they said, we love it. We'll get right back to you. And when they finally got back to me, they said, oh, yeah, Landsberg's going to do it. We're going to do it out of Toronto. And I said, oh, jeez. Well, as it turned out, literally a couple weeks later, Keith Pelly came in as the president. Keith was a buddy of mine. We grew up together at TSN. He was just back from Fox out of the U.S. and he said, "Yeah, you know what? If you want to do a Canadian West Coast version of that, absolutely." And then we ran it on Sunday with the idea that we would get it Monday to Friday. And before that happened, CTV bought us out and shut down the studios, and that was the end of it.
Really?
Yeah, that's what happened. So the off the record, every time I look at it, I go, Landsberg, you dog, you have my show.
Well, you know, like Mike Bullard was another guy I grew up watching.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's sad that there's really. I mean, we've got George Strombo and we've got Rick Mercer. I think there's some room for some more.
Oh yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
in terms of Canadian television talk shows.
Yeah, and we are in the process of talking television right now, just so you know, and you'll see over the course of the next few months that a lot of things are going to be sort of kind of.
What do you think of the? What do you think of sports journalism in Canada today?
I think it's too safe. I really do. I think it's and it's safe for all the wrong reasons because it's safe because it's corporate.
Who do you read first in the mornings?
Well, I'm a huge fan of reading everything. I mean, I read the local papers. I go on like everybody else. I mean,
is there anyone you won't read?
No, not at all. Not at all. There's nobody that pisses me off and go, I like that. Yes, I'm not going to read him. No. And in fact, the guys that usually upset me are the guys that I try to read first. But no, there are some very, very good people in this business. All right, you just don't see them enough. They're not big enough, high profile. As I said before, it's too easy to be corporately safe, and that unfortunately is chronic in our business.
You mentioned down the road here. Are you disappointed you never really had a final show?
No, not really. What I was disappointed in was the fact that I didn't get the opportunity to go to the people that I worked with for 10 years across the street and just say goodbye and walk out on my own terms. That was the only thing that I was really disappointed in.
That's touchy. That's feely for you.
No, not at all. We went to war for 10 years. And there's some great people over there, man. I'll tell you, there are some brothers of mine that are over there. And in this business, you work with everybody all the time. People that you don't think you're going to work with, and all of a sudden you're working with. I mean, I'm working with people here.
All of a sudden you're your boss.
Dean Hill and I were in the same rock and roll band at CFox in the 80s. And Dean and I do an afternoon thing over at Rock 101 now. I mean, it comes around. And I've got brothers over there. Brothers.
Is that the Electric Lunch Orchestra?
The Electric Lunch Orchestra, 2 Flat Pratt. And like I said, I got brothers and sisters over there that are some of the best people I have ever worked with. And I mean that's incredibly sincerely. And yeah, that's the one thing that I miss more than anything else. Are the people that I had the privilege of working with over there for 10 years.
What's the last chick flick you watched?
Oh God, I can't even think of it. I don't know. Pretty Woman. I don't know. That nothing comes to mind.
When's the last time you cried?
Oh, the last time I cried. No, hold off for a second, because this is actually.
Get your Kleenex, folks. This is going to get raw.
Okay, no. Yeah, I can remember really losing it at both my mother's and my father's funerals. That tore my guts out. That just to the bone. Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that.
All right.
What's your thoughts on marriage?
It's a fine institution if you're ready for an institution. Do you know, if it works for you, it works for you. My feeling on marriage is it's absolutely critical if you're going to have kids. To get married for the sake of getting married, to me, is the single stupidest thing you can do. I don't get it. And I've never wanted kids. Isn't that bizarre? I coached football for a decade and really enjoyed it and all of that stuff. But the idea of having kids running around, same thing. I've never had a dog. The idea of having a dog running around.
Kittens or puppies?
Yeah.
Which ones?
Dog. No, if you're gonna have a pet, you gotta have a dog. I mean, you gotta have a dog.
For the longest time, I thought dogs were male and cats were female.
No. It's just you're gonna go to the beach, throw the stick in the water. The cat's not going in. You want somebody who's gonna go and get the stick for you. All right.
When's the last time you spoke with Don Taylor?
Don Taylor, a couple weeks ago. Our birthdays are within a couple of days apart. Mine's on the 22nd, his is on the 25th, and we talked at our birthday, so a little more than a month ago. We talk consistently. Don is a friend of mine, and will always be a friend of mine.
If I could arrange it, would you go for a bike ride with the mayor?
Do you know what I did? I would not. I don't think I'd go with a bike ride with the mayor because it would turn into a fist fight, but or a screaming match. But when I lost the bet to Ferraro a year ago or so, I had to take a bike and do a lap around City Hall, which I did, and of course they had the cameras there, and it wound up in the Vancouver province. So would I? No.
What's something that scares you that shouldn't? We can end on that.
Well, you know what? I think that the single biggest fear that you have in all things in life is that it's going to end too soon. Do you know what I mean? That you're not going to get everything done, and there's still a ton of stuff that I've got on my to-do list that I haven't got around to. I mean, I got my own little bucket list, and I think I think leaving 1040 scared the hell out of me because it just came out of the blue, and I wasn't expecting it. And there were a bunch of things I had planned, and I had to sort of kind of reset and calibrate where I'm going in my life, and I've done that over the last 6 months or so. But just the fear that would be taken away from me so quickly, without any cause, that scared the hell out of me.
It seems like it's a kinder, more gentler David Pratt these days.
Oh, screw you.
Thanks for doing this, Dave. This was
All right.
No Holds Barred. I appreciate it.
All right, time for a little Bruce Allen, a little reality check.